Tanabata says, you make baking seem very easy, but actually it's hard.
Well,
it's hard to do epical baking because I know. So, Abu, why are you making it seem so easy? Tell us.
Well, nothing's easy. Once you find yourself doing it, I mean, go big or go home.
Yep.
Put in
Go big or go home. I like that.
You have to put in the work and you have to show up for yourself and for your brand.
Okay. Yeah. So another message from Grace. Grace says, what a great show, Medley. I think cooking will do great. I prefer cooking, even though I still like baking. Okay. Well done, Grace. This message has no name or location. She says, if you make a mistake while baking, it can always be noticed. Any tips on how to correct it?
Start again.
Okay, Abu, is there a way to correct a mistake when you're baking?
Well, it depends on the kind of mistake you make. So just a few days back, I was actually baking a vanilla cake. So it's a different recipe from what I said earlier. And I was done mixing, and I told my staff, like, there's something off with this cake. What's wrong with it? And I forgot to put sugar. Yes, it happens.
Yes. Sugar?
I forgot to put sugar.
Inside cake?
So at that point, I put in sugar last, and the cake still came out well. So there's some let's say, aspects that you can, go back and forth, and you still get a good.
So you realized before it went into the oven?
Yes. Okay. So that's it now. Once it enters the oven,
that's it.
Say bye-bye.
Bye.
That's the end.
Yes, Otilo.
Otilo, I like that. Okay, so this another person says, I'm Chioma. I love the whole chef idea, and I hope to be one someday. Okay, so Chioma, keep listening to Chef Lynn, and you will be a chef someday. Chef Lynn, right?
Yes.
So hi, everyone there. Please, what's the best preservative to use in cake? This is Blessing from Taraba. I'm going to let Abu answer that, but shortly. Let me take a few more messages. Okay, so Abu, this is a very funny message. It says, Abu, can you bake for me? I will pay you.
Definitely. Please contact me.
Okay, so Abu will contact you much later, so you get to bake. He will bake for you. Hi, Medley Show. Please, what should I do if my cake have a different taste every time I bake? I mean, it's measurements. How are you baking it that it has a different taste every time? Great. See, this question, I want to ask it to Chef Lynn. So yes, I understand the fact that when you're baking, it's measurement. So tendency of getting it the same time every time is higher. But Chef Lynn, cooking is not measurement. How do you get your food to taste the same way every single time?
First of all, food is measurement as well.
Oh, really?
Yes. I have a recipe for even jollof rice. Yes, you have to be that detailed. So, because you can't be cooking by how you feel every day. If you have a business, people want to eat the same thing all the time when they come to you. And that's why they always say consistency trumps talent. So you need to have this recipe for everything.
So measurement is not only to Abu?
No. The difference is that he can afford to make a mistake.
Right.
As in, before it goes into the oven. But you can, because you have the access to your pot constantly, there's nothing like don't open the pot. So while you're tasting, it's easier for you to know that something is off before the food is finally ready. So you can alter if need be. Okay. But there's recipe. There's recipe for everything.
Okay. So I'll take a few more messages, then we'll take a quick break. So this person is Amir from Benue. He says, I wish I'm a chef. How can I become a chef? You're going to answer that person later. Just like I have one question that I'll be going to answer. So another message, cooking and baking are both beautiful things, but they are similar, right? Greetings to you all. How long does it take a person to learn baking from you, Abu, and how much will it cost? This is NC William from Abuja. Abu will answer you later because I'm sure he's already smiling. He's excited about that one because you do trainings as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so my name is Ibrahim Goni. Okay, you just sent me your name. I need to know what your message is. Hi, I'm Stella from Enugu. What is 250 grams of flour when measuring with cup if I don't have a scale. It confuses me. Okay, so everybody wants to learn how to bake on the show from you today. You're going to find, we're going to find time for you to answer all that. But right now, let's take a quick break and bring you this top 3 anything. And today we're looking at top 3 food content creators. We'll be right back.
This week on Top 3 Anything, we are checking out food content. Out of the numerous food content creators and bloggers, these 3 are very outstanding. Yemisi Sophie Odusoya, popularly known as Sisi Yemi, is a food and lifestyle blogger with over 1 million subscribers on YouTube and over 360,000 followers on Instagram.
So I have here curry powder, chicken seasoning, thyme, salt, ginger powder, rosemary, white pepper, and paprika.
She shares content on food, parenting, and lifestyle. She also shares content on kids' meals, lunchbox ideas, and back-to-school recipes. She won the City People Entertainment Award of the Blogger of the Year twice.
Also, if you're baking fish, make sure you bake it just as you're about to eat it so that you will enjoy it. This is what I did. I had mine with jollof rice and a glass of juice and it was really, really yummy.
Hilda Basi is a Nigerian chef, a former holder of the Guinness World Record for marathon cooking, Cookathon, with 93 hours, 11 minutes.
I genuinely just feel a lot of relief, and I'm very happy and I'm very proud. The turnout was very unexpected.
She started her career as a professional cook after her education by preparing meals for family and friends, which motivated her to start a catering business. She is passionate about teaching others about cooking and has organized several cooking classes, workshops to teach people how to cook healthy and delicious meals.
I'm going to be adding in the prawns, the lobsters, and the shrimps. And once you do that, you're going to put in a bit of water. That depends on the quantity of okra that you're actually making.
Her recipes have been published in various cookbooks and has hosted cooking shows on various TV platforms. With 3 million followers and still counting, Hilda Basi continues to create food content using her platforms along with her brand, My Food by Hilda. Omotolani Tayo Oshikoya, popularly known as Chef T, is a certified culinary expert, food blogger, recipe developer, and a food tutor with over 240,000 subscribers on YouTube and 2 million followers and still counting on Instagram with a brand name Diary of a Kitchen Lover.
Hi my besties, Ishula Festeleni. We are boiling yam and a special sauce.
She learned the basics of cooking from her mom and has been keeping up with food trends. Her career in food content creation started when she got married. She spiced up meal times for her husband in interesting ways, sharing recipes on her Instagram page, and her followers dropped comments and also asking her to share the recipes. Chef T inspires her followers through kitchen hygiene, kitchen organization, cookwares, and equipment. She has a certification in the prestigious Italian Chef Academy in Rome, Italy.
Look at how yummy this looks. Now pairing it with yam or plantain or rice, oh my goodness. You have to try this recipe, besties.
Welcome to the Madly Show again. It's still the Chef versus Baker edition, and of course, we've had Chef Lean plating something really nice, and Abu's cake is really looking like. It's looking like, oh God, I don't have words. Abu, you will give me the words to use and describe this your cake, because I'm seeing chocolate, I'm seeing something red, I'm seeing it's a lot, and it's white. Okay, so I had a few questions that came in. We're going to let you answer some of them while we move on the show. So, Abu, I did mention earlier that someone sent a question asking what he or she should do if the cake tastes different every time. So every time you bake vanilla cake, it tastes different from the way you bake tomorrow or the day after, blah, blah, blah. So why does that keep happening?
Well, I think you should standardize the process. You should stick to one recipe, one method, and also you should choose your ingredients right and stick to it.
So when you say one method, does it mean that there's no room for experimenting in baking?
Well, if you want to have the same taste every time, you shouldn't be experimenting every time. Yes, of consistency, right? So you should keep doing the same thing over and over to get the same result over and over again.
Okay. So, Sheflin, you know when you said something about when it comes to cooking, you can't double the recipe because you're doing more. So someone is asking, hello, good afternoon. Why do people go for cooking when, okay, so the question is distorted, but I think I understand what the person is trying to say. Let me not read it. But what the person is trying to say is, so what should he or she now do if you are not going to double the recipe? I know you said experience, but I don't think this person understands what you mean by that.
One of the things is when you're doubling recipe is, one of the tricks I use is not to add the total liquid at the same time. You watch out for your liquid and you can add it in bits. Sometimes you might use it all up, but liquid is one of the first things I try to, if the recipe calls for 1 cup and you're doubling it as 2 cups, I can start with 1.5 or 1.25 cup, still holding on to the remaining 3/4 and add it as needed so that you don't have problems. So one of the things I watch out for when doubling recipes is the liquid. And when I say liquid...
Water.
Yeah, but I didn't say water alone because it could be milk, it could be cream. Stock. There's so many other things that can be liquid in your recipe.
So liquid is something that could either ruin or mar or make your recipe. Fantastic. Okay, so this is a very funny message. This person says, knowing fully well that Nigeria is hard, you know, go drop location, make her come follow you taste. Don't worry, the location is public. Everyone knows the location is NTA, so find your way here. If you're here before the leave, yeah, then you get to eat what Abu and Chef Lynn are making. So another message. Good afternoon, presenter of Medley Show and your amazing guests. I'm salivating seeing what is being displayed. How I wish I could taste it. However, kudos to these guys and you also. My name is Goodwill from Jos. So Abu, what's one ingredient that you use every time? By this, I don't mean the basic ingredients that we know for cooking. What's the one thing that's... Okay, so thinking about the question, looks like I'm trying to ask you to give away your secret ingredient, but no, that's what I'm saying. What I mean is, what's the one thing that everybody knows Abu would always put this in his cake?
Vanilla.
In everything?
Yes.
Well, every cake calls for vanilla now.
Well, not everybody does that for vanilla.
You always put vanilla.
Always put vanilla.
Do you use the liquid bottled one or that one they scrape from?
Well, it depends on what I'm making. Some recipes I'll use the bean pod, some I'll use the bean paste, some I'll use the extract or the powder.
So how about you, Chef Lynn? What's the most common ingredient? Everybody knows Chef Lynn is going to put this inside her food, no matter what she's cooking. Nothing. There's no standard thing that you always use.
Because it depends on what I'm cooking. It depends on origin of the food, what country it's from. Except you want me to say salt.
I was going to say salt.
Salt.
Okay, that's fine. So you guys have like really amazing stuff on that table, and I want to know what you made. So Chef Lynn, I'm going to start with you. What's that?
Bread and beans.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, guys. Did you hear? That's bread and beans.
Yes.
Sister, please explain.
Bread, agege bread, toasted. You've got beans pureed, but not too smooth, so you can still feel the beans. Of course, sardines. Everything here is what we typically eat. So one of the things I wanted to do today was to style what every Nigerian eats, at least. I mean, most Nigerians eat. Sardines, you've got pepper, habanero, rodo, and we've got some leaves and some sesame seeds. Kalas.
You know what you just did? You know how there was this time it trended where you'd see a plate of bread and beans. This one is 2.5. And then you see another bread and beans, and this one is 35K. That's exactly what you did. Like, I'll enter into a fancy restaurant, and you, please, which fancy name will you give it? Give it one fancy name. So that I don't immediately know it's bread and beans.
Why not? So for me, I would like you to know it's bread and beans.
No, but
Well-
Chef, do you like this your business at all? It's fine.
So I should say something like dynamite beans.
But that's what happens. Like, it's
I
a
know,
regular thing
right?
that we eat, but they just give it one fancy name, and it's very expensive, and we're all buying it. I mean,
know, right?
that's what plating does, right? Okay. So, Abu, over to you.
Okay, so I have what my colleagues and I call Ninja combo.
What?
Ninja combo.
Okay.
Because most times when clients place an order, they want red velvet, vanilla, chocolate. Like,
True.
that's like the standard. That's what everybody wants. So the trio. So that's Ninja combo. So I have red velvet, vanilla chocolate layered and filled with mango compote and strawberry compote. So I love working with fruits and seasons, with mango seasoning, and strawberry is still lingering. So we have strawberry and mango compote here, covered in whipped cream. Around it, I have chocolate shards, topped with also some chocolate sprinkles, and maraschino cherries.
Okay. So Chef Lynn, what inspired this style of plating the regular bread and beans?
So we eat with our eyes first, yeah? And our, not taking away from our food style, because I mean, that's what we all grew up with and we like it. But what I always say is, why not? Why not try something different? Why do we have Asian food all over our continent? Why don't we have our food everywhere else?
Right.
Why? Most of the time is styling. It's about, so because people would eat first with their eyes, and if they don't like what they see, they would not even attempt to eat it. And that's why styling.
Okay.
Because I believe we have the best food in the world.
Right,
I'm
I
partial,
agree with
yeah,
you.
but yeah.
I agree
So
with you.
we have to get people to eat it.
Okay, so I'm going to have the both of you bring that amazing thing you made here while I take a few messages, and then we get ready to round up the show. Abu, I'm going to taste that cake, so you're going to bring it here and cut me a piece, right? So I'm going to have you both bring that magic you whipped up in your plates and your cake board to the table right here, and then we'll end the show together. So while they're doing that, I would like to take a few more messages. There's a question: what is the legitimate difference between cooking and baking? You have to contact them differently to answer that question. The show is about to end. So, Chef Lynn, your plate is looking really good. My name is
Thank you.
Abdul. Okay, so Chef Lynn, someone loves your bread and beans.
Okay.
Hey, Abu, so someone is asking, is the male chef single? Because he's looking as good as his cake. Okay.
Wonderful.
That's good. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Caroline from Kaduna says, I hate cooking, but I love baking. Is it weird? No, it's not weird. We're just the same
It's
thing.
not
My
at
name
all.
is Aziza, and I want to ask, what's the difference between cooking and baking? I think they've answered that sometime in the show. Anyway, we really, really have to go. And Abu, I'm going to need you to cut me a piece of this so I can taste it. And Chefin, can I taste that?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to finish it up with some oil.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello and welcome to Your Health in Your Hands. I'm Dr. David Ajibade, and today we'll be talking about sugar and its effect on the brain and body. Now, if you've been following our programs, you'll see that we talked at the beginning of the year. It's still the beginning of the year, but the first few weeks of January, we talked about cardiovascular health, and we also talked about immune health. And in my opinion, these are the two most important things that people need to talk about, especially if you're a Black person, because those two, most of the conditions in which you see, shall we say, preponderance, or there are many more cases among Black people, anywhere you go in the world, of these conditions than you see among white people. So, for instance, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, hypertension, strokes, and so on, are all, anywhere you have a mix of people and you compare whites and Blacks, you see that Blacks have it worse. And there are specific reasons for this. Most times people just talk about racism. But as you and I know, we're in a country that has, it's mostly Black, if not all Black. I know we have a few other nationalities amongst us, but we are predominantly, I would say, 95 to 99% Black. And even in this country, there's a superabundance of those conditions: diabetes, strokes, cancers, especially breast cancer and prostate cancer. So we need to be aware of why these things are happening to us. There are about three things which I'm going to get to further in the program that account for why Blacks have these conditions more. Now, I'm particularly interested in dementia and other brain disorders because for the past 10 years or so, I've been focused on that through the Brain and Body Foundation, and now through my work with dementia in the U.S. And it's very clear, very, very, very clear that again, is these two conditions, these two systems, the cardiovascular system, which is the heart and the blood vessels, and the immune system, where we are falling behind that relate to dementia. Now, there are other systems as well, like the digestive system, which we'll be talking about. But these two, more than ever, the immune system and the cardiovascular system, account for reasons why Blacks tend to have higher rates of dementia than other cases. And it's very, very important because it's dementia sweeping the world. All right, so I'm going to start showing you some slides, and then we will get into it. All right, so just so we've talked about the cardiovascular health, show a few pictures and statistics. Blacks have, as I mentioned before, have higher rates of hypertension, have higher rates of diabetes. Those are the ones in red. And here's a picture of a diagram of a cross section through an artery, and it shows that with time the arteries tend to get plugged up. It's kind of like if you think about the pipes, water pipes. The water pipes are getting clogged up with time and with age. These tend to happen more frequently with Blacks than whites. Here's another picture, and it shows the plaques again. I just want to make sure that I do a quick recap so we're on track. The immune system is what defends our brain and body against not just viruses and bacteria like COVID-19, for instance. It's a virus. bugs and so on. But it also defends our body against what we can call rogue cells that are beginning to misbehave, let's put it that way, and are beginning to do what they're not supposed to do. For instance, cancer cells, but not just cancer cells. There are cells that are like they call themselves autoimmune. It's an autoimmune condition in which the cells go rogue and the immune system they start fighting with the immune system, or the immune system starts fighting with it. And that causes trouble, as you can imagine. So I mentioned earlier that blacks have it worse in several conditions. Genetics is one of them. Lifestyle factors is another one. And of course, environmental factors like racism and racial injustice. And there are studies that have shown in hospitals that blacks tend to be treated worse. That's not a good term. So let's say use pain, for instance. So a black person goes and complains about pain. The suspicion is that they just want drugs to feed their drug habit, rather than seeing this as a legitimate case. Obviously, sickle cell disease is an extreme form. There have been complaints where people who are having crisis, who are sick, who are bona fide sicklers, they go to the hospital, they want relief from their pain, and again, the nurses think that they are pretending so they can get drugs. Or they think that blacks have greater pain tolerance, and so they don't give them as much as they need. And what we have been trying to say with many of these presentations is that we black people are very, very different, biochemically, physiologically, than white people are. In some hospitals, they take that into account. In others, they do not. And so this is one of our focuses or foci is to point out these differences so that doctors and other healthcare professionals can take these into account when they are dealing with patients. I'll give you a quick example. One of the reasons why surgeries don't go as well for black people as they do for white people is that we tend to clot. We tend to something about our platelets or our clotting factors being more active, and so we tend to form blood clots more readily than white people do. And so those healthcare professionals and surgeons who know what they're doing, they will take that into account and give more drugs to reduce, or shall we say blood thinners, to reduce the possibility of clotting so that it doesn't happen. Same thing with pregnancy and deliveries. One reason why black people tend to have higher rates of death, thromboembolism is the word, is that whole clotting tendency is greater in blacks than it is in whites. So that needs to be taken account of. Unfortunately, many hospitals haven't got the memo yet, and so there's that difference. But if you're in Nigeria, obviously, I'm believing that most doctors understand this, and therefore they have to titrate and they have to adjust accordingly. Anyway, I'm getting beyond myself because we want to talk about sugar, and 7 minutes have already passed by. So I was out with this quote, and I liked it. I heard it from someone, and it made so much sense. The road to ill health, the road to chronic disease, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, and so on, is paved with sugar. Now, people don't realize this, and it's right there in front of us, but people don't realize that sugar plays a huge role in chronic disease. And people say, well, I don't put added sugar, I just take whatever. We're going to get into that very soon. I want to show you that that is probably the wrong approach and the wrong attitude towards it, because sugar is hidden in so many areas that you probably don't suspect. Okay, let's start with the bad news. What sugar does to your body, okay? And I have this picture in front of me, and it shows the relationship between sugar and a lot of things. For instance, this one that catches my attention is fibroids, uterine fibroids. It's almost a rite of passage for women, especially black women. I mean, went through medical school, after medical school, fibroids here, fibroids there. You didn't have to be a gynecologist, OBGYN, to know that fibroids was very, very, very common among blacks, among our people. It's not so common among whites at all. fibroid is more a black person's thing and than white people, a person's thing. And we're now seeing that relates to a condition called insulin resistance. And I'm going to explain that probably later on. But insulin resistance also translates also as a result of excess sugar in the diet. Some of these things, the formatting is a little off, so excuse us there. We know diabetes, excess sugar is one of the reasons why, is one of the top 2 reasons why people need dialysis or kidney transplants. That excess sugar affects the liver. It causes liver enlargements, non-alcoholic fatty disease. It can result in cancer because it weakens the immune system. And of course, it can cause dementia because it causes all kinds of problems like inflammation in the brain. And in many cases, we're seeing that people who take in a lot of sugar tend to have shrinkage in the brain, especially in the areas that have to do with memory and cognition. And this is an example of what I'm talking about. The brain of somebody with dementia or Alzheimer's disease is significantly smaller than the brain of someone who is normal for the same age and same sex. So it is a problem that is related to sugar. I don't know why people aren't talking about this. I don't know why this isn't being emphasized. Which there should be a war, in my opinion. There should be an all-out war on sugar and letting people know, educating people about the problem with sugar and where it is found. I mean, it is the enemy, and it's an enemy everybody will have to deal with. We cannot avoid it, but we can certainly reduce its impact on our health. And I'm going to talk about that. So, so dementia, so the reasons why blacks have a 2 to 4 times higher risk of dementia is because, in my opinion, one of them is because of blacks have much higher rates of cardiovascular disease. Sorry, this thing it's almost like it has a mind of its own. It's just changing by itself. But anyway, so I'm going to go forward. I say there's an unfortunate romance between blacks and sugar because we tend to have the least, shall we say, the highest sensitivity, the least resistance to sugar. In other words, sugar has a far greater impact on our health than a white person does. And I don't want to go into all that, but that's just a fact. We tend to have, shall we say, insulin resistance seems to be higher amongst blacks. And sugar tends to have a higher impact on us. But then, unfortunately, and almost paradoxically, we tend to love sugar the most. And there have been many examples. And this never occurred to me when I was basically living and working in Nigeria. But in the US, you can see the difference. But there have been movies shown in which they are parodies. Basically, they're making fun, and these are black people who made the movies. They're making fun of themselves about how we love sugar. And I've experienced it. I've had friends even tell me, white friends tell me how, without even, we weren't even discussing it. White people would tell me how, they go to the coffee stand and they're putting sugar in their coffee, and some black person comes and they put like 4 times as much sugar as they do. So it is well known that black people like sugar. And again, we are the ones that are affected by it. And there are about 3 reasons why sugar is such a problem. 1, it causes what is known as inflammation. I've done a talk on inflammation before. Number 2 is that sugar tends to be converted to fat. And number 3 is something called insulin resistance. I don't know if I'll have time to discuss that, but these are the 3 main things. So we talk about, we look at our blood profile, there are blood tests, we look at cholesterol, we look at and sugar levels and all that. The sugar is what really converts to things like triglycerides. So of all those things they're looking at, whether it's cholesterol, LDL and all that, the most dangerous thing there are the triglycerides, which is made from sugar. The most dangerous. I know there's a lot of talk about LDL cholesterol or HDL cholesterol, and I'm not going to go into that, but it's the triglycerides that tend to be the most dangerous of all of these things we're talking about. And I don't think we're talking about it like we should. So what should we do? We know sugar is a problem. We know that sugar is, that we tend to like sugar. As a matter of fact, in some areas of the country, I believe it's the Northeast, where they tend to take a lot more sugar. I believe there's a tribe in the northern Nigeria where diabetes is like a rite of passage. When you become an adult, it's like diabetes because you take the delicacies and desserts are so prominent there that the body just eventually gives up and just becomes diabetic. There are two main ways you want to address or deal with sugar. Number one, you want to avoid it as much as you possibly can. Avoid, reduce, substitute, replace. The number two, because you cannot do that first part perfectly, you want to reduce the damage that is being done to your body by sugar, because sugar is unavoidable, as you probably know, unless you want to go to a desert island or something. And even in a desert island, you probably have fruits, and there's sugar in fruits. Sugar is unavoidable, but we can mitigate, we can protect our brains and bodies against the effects or the harmful effects